I'm going to demo an extension to GToolkit that I'm really excited about. This is something that I've wanted for quite a long time, and it fills what I think is a key gap in the general usefulness of the GToolkit GUI for end user programming and use. And that's the sharing of variables between tools. So GToolkit is awesome at visualizing models. Here we have an address book, has some people in it. And at the bottom, we have an inspector with snippets to find people and create people. So here we're going to ensure the person. So we're going to create it if it doesn't exist, otherwise return the object. Here we're going to look through the organizations and find a particular one. We can create new ones. And now if we look over in this library object, this is picture a public library. So we have a book here, a pamphlet, some movies. And if we want to add a new work, we need to know what the author is. And the problem is the author is going to be a person, which would be kept in the address book. But if we have Dumbledore selected here, there's no easy way to get this person back into the library. So what we end up having to do in the past is have a whole subtree of snippets related to finding or creating a person object to be the author of this work. And the problem is that now we have person access snippets in the address book. We have person access snippets in the library. And if we had a calendar that allowed you to tag events with people that you were going to meet with, then we'd have a third place. So at every point of use, you're duplicating all these snippets. It becomes kind of unmanageable and difficult to work with. The other problem is that now when you have the snippet, you're restricting yourself to programmatic access, where in the address book, if we had tons of contacts, again, this is just a testament to how awesome GToolkit's built-in facilities are. We could easily find Dumbledore via spotter, or we could create a new entity through the spotter. In this case, actually, it knows that a single word can't be a person, so it only says organization. But then if we just made it 2 words, it knows that, okay, now it could be a organization or a person. But the point is that we're using all these rich facilities to ultimately get the inspector on the person object that we want without restricting ourselves just to duplicated snippets everywhere. Now, so here's the new feature. We're going to take this, just to prove to you that this is really working, we're going to make the author nil. So, okay, the author is bound to nil. And then we're going to go to Dumbledore and say Dumbledore was the author of the work that we were going to create. We're going to click this little wrench, and the icon, the labels are, not really in their final form. It's working but not polished. And this pop-up is going to give us the top level is all the tabs. So playground, a library, an address book, playground, a library, an address book. And the next level, just to show you in the address book, is going to be the tabs. So this first tab is off screen, but we can see an address book, a person, an address book, a person. And then the next level are the variables bound or unbound within that tool. So for the address book, we go down and look here, and we have orgs, parent, child, orgs, parent, child, and here we have parent, child, orgs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the library page that we were just looking at, and for the author variable, bind it to the currently inspected object, which is Dumbledore. And now if we go back and look at the author, we'll see that indeed author's bound to Dumbledore. This also works for playgrounds. So we can go back and bind Dumbledore to a playground variable. You can do multiples. So let's see, unbound Dumbledore and new var Dumbledore. Okay, so this extension is part of the Pharo enhancements project. It's on GitHub. There's an installation script for GToolkit, so please play around with it. Love to hear some feedback on it. But for me, this is going to make my work much easier and more enjoyable than it already was in GToolkit. And I'm really closer to being able to manage all of my everyday tasks with ease from inside the IDE without having to resort to hand-rolled full-blown front-end GUIs, which is pretty exciting. So definitely let me know what you think, and see you on the next screencast.